So, welcome back. This week, I want to discuss clarity and working in everyday life of making decisions, especially um, feeling like you're risking, you're being vulnerable, you're putting yourself out there. I spend a lot of time procrastinating, where I feel like I'm in this constantly distracting, basically. And what I find is parts come up with great stories to derail what I would like to get accomplished, what want my life to look like. Um, being being creative, however you are creative, I like photography and playing guitar and music, and part of this podcast is being creative and exploring and being vulnerable, right? I find I get distracted in all the tools or the procedure, the layout of what am I going to say? What are the things I need? What is the story that I'm trying to tell here? And have it mapped out on this timeline of I'm going to say this at this point in time, or I'm going to play this note at this point in time, or I'm going to take this picture and frame it just like this. Uh, Thinking ahead of time, right? Like in the future that I'm going to do these things. And I never actually start doing the thing. I mean, eventually I do, obviously. But what I'm saying is that it takes me some time to get there. And one of the 8 C's of self being clarity is clarity comes with action. And this has taken me a long time to put into practice. I mean, head knowledge, my brain understands this thing, but actually doing it, where parts step in and kind of take control of my nervous system, where my nervous system is saying, this isn't safe, or you haven't planned this out enough, or you don't know what's going to happen, so we're going to lock everything down and just kind of freak out for a while. And maybe freaking out isn't so much expressed in the external world. It's all inside, right? So freaking out is like being frozen and not taking action just as much as it is having a lot of anxiety externally, right? There's really no difference. It's just people don't know that you're going through this thing, that you're feeling all this. You do, but they don't. So what I'm discovering is as much as I want to grow and expand and be more expressive, to tell more of my story, as much as I want to help others along this journey of being relatable. Like, look, I have a lot of parts. I'm not afraid to explain my experience, and at the same time, parts of me are like afraid to explain my experience. So I get stuck of not being able to move through first taking action. I just get stuck on the drawing board of planning everything out for so long and waste so much time and energy. But also it's just this added suffering on myself because it's it's time that I could be experiencing life and more in the present moment, but my mind is consumed with future things that aren't happening, and I can't put the pieces of that puzzle together, even parts of me really want to. the more that I just start the task, that's when clarity starts coming. Like when you put pen to paper, I don't have to have it all figured out. Somehow the words just magically start coming because they're inside of me and parts want to express themselves. So as soon as I start doing the thing, it then unfolds. And this goes back to surrendering to the process. So much of parts of me are resistant to surrendering to this process because they're afraid of the outcome and they're afraid of being humiliated, of being seen and looked down upon, of not being accepted, being rejected from the rest of the tribe. I don't blame them. It's like so much of just turning towards them, welcoming, like, man, bud, I hear you. I hear that you're afraid to speak up because if you do, what you know, the story you know, is humiliation and shame, right? And state creates story. So if my nervous system state is stuck in this place of let's have everything figured out because we don't have clarity right now, we don't know what's going to happen. And I feel like I'm in a functional freeze state in my nervous system where on the outside I'm doing the things, I'm taking care of myself, I'm going to work, I'm, hanging out with friends, I'm doing the normal everyday life things. But inside of me is still frozen in this hyper vigilant, um, overly protective space. Then I can't be creative. I can't really be myself. I can't express who I am. And I'm not living life. I'm just existing, getting by, surviving the next day, doing this repetitive cycle, getting sucked into, you know, scrolling on the phone, distracted playing video games, watching TV, the dissociative states of just staring out the window. I'm not actually in the experience, and therefore I'm not growing. Which further brings this sense of like, I'm a failure. I don't have what it takes. I'm kidding myself. Like, who's going to listen to me? Like, who am I and what is my experience to share? I'm sure parts of you tell the same story in a different way. And I have to ask them to please step aside. Like, I hear you, bud. I hear that this is your story and you're afraid of being humiliated, but can you please trust in me a little bit? Gaining gaining trust with parts of myself, gaining their respect takes action, like like always, right? And again, action is what really is bringing on clarity. Let me go down this path. Let me try this thing. Let me not be afraid to fail. My mind, parts of me that like to be really stuck in my mind, especially in the left hemisphere, that are like really analytical and want to plan things out and they want to know what is the mathematical equation here. There's so much limitation with them of like, if I'm operating off of their story, it is very limiting. And I feel very confined and stuck inside of a box, which is the exact same thing I've been trying to escape my whole life. It feels like escape the box. What other people think of you, what other people judge you as, what other people want you to be. How does your family, how does your tribe see you? And if you don't fit inside that box, then it's danger, because you're a threat to their reality. Because you're existing more in a mindful based present reality that's very creative. In other words, you are very alive and they're usually not. So there's there's resentment and hostility there. So it's no wonder why parts of me are hesitant to branch out and to try new things. They're afraid to fail. They're afraid of being in the moment of failure, of what's going to happen in the future, of like, once you get there, what are you going to do? That's what the parts ask me. What are you going to do once you get there? We know what we're going to do. We're going to stand up and we're going to protect you and shut you down, which is going to be a repetitive cycle of the story. But what are you going to do, as in self? Who are you and what are you going to do in that moment? And it's letting go of the fear of trusting in that moment, like I'll know what to do, of having intuition, of being, guided internally from a place of confidence and clarity, of being calm, collected, open, like just being curious about it. I don't have to have the answers of what am I going to do. It's like, I don't have a script. Sometimes that is terrifying because it keeps me bound of, what am I going to say? What about the awkward silence that, is hard for some people? What if I don't try to perform? That I'm not some circus act and I show up as myself. Oh, well then, who knows what's going to happen? More likely you're going to be judged and ostracized. People are going to think you're, X, Y, and Z. And I can't really control other people. They are the weather to me. How much longer in life am I going to let that perspective, that story, control me? I mean, when am I going to actually start living life more? I found this is, with everything in healing, is titration. Really, like baby steps with my parts of trying new things, showing up for them, taking action, and asking them, hey, were you here when I stepped up and I did the thing and I took action? No? Okay. Would you like to be with me and we could kind of process this if you weren't here for it? Like, this is what happened. This is what I said, this is what I did. And we're still alive and nothing bad happened. Oh, really? You mean you're an adult and you're not, 6 years old anymore, stuck in your parents' house getting yelled at? No. See, so many times there are so many parts of me that are very young, still thinking that I'm still a child. That I'm still stuck in a place that is dangerous to my nervous system. How many times, and this is my own personal experience here, so I, just bringing this up for an example of taking action in the moment, of when there is conflict within a relationship, externally, not internally with your parts, but externally, whether it's a friend or your partner, a coworker. When there's conflict, a disagreement, there's different perspectives. Parts of me want to shut down and close off, wall off. Don't say anything, because if you say anything, it's going to make it worse to keep me safe, right? It's been a journey, a long journey, and many times of trial and error and failure, of putting in an action. I don't know exactly what to say, but there's a lot going on inside of me. A lot of parts are feeling a lot of different ways and have different thoughts about this. Do I want to be right or do I want connection? Is really what it comes down to usually. Is stepping forward inside that conflict and trying to repair. Saying, hey, I'm sorry, this is where I'm coming from. This was my perspective. I would really like to be open to hear more of your own perspective on this. Wow, that's humbling. That that in itself has brought on a lot of trust within my parts of stepping up in action and doing the thing, and for them to experience a different outcome, which has helped me when I do want to branch out and grow and be more creative and try new things of self-expression, like do different things with photography. Like I'm trying to do video now, which has been really difficult for me because I don't understand. There's a lot of things in video that I don't understand that I have to learn, and it's also really scary to be seen more. But parts of me are learning that me stepping up in these other circumstances, especially when there's disagreement and there's tension with another individual, they're learning like, okay, you can do this. I'm trusting in you more. And you don't have to have it all figured out. Just like the conversation, you know, you can ruminate about a conversation of how it's going to play out, what you're going to say, what the other person is going to say. And it's all this added suffering for days, nights. So much anxiety over it. When, if you step forward and have the difficult conversation, then parts will start trusting you more, so that they don't have to step in and do their same role of further protecting you. And it's doing it in action is when I start having more clarity of like, okay, I don't have to have it all figured out what I'm going to say in the moment. If I'm just being really real and genuine, it works out. That path just starts unfolding, and one word leads to the next word. So, with all that, I hope it inspires you to risk more, to step out more, of letting go that you have to have everything figured out of how it's going to work out, or what you're going to say, or what camera angle you're going to shoot, or what's the next word you're going to write on the piece of paper. Because clarity will come. as much as it feels like chaos inside of you with parts raging and having different opinions about things, they'll start to settle down if you just take action. So, thank you. Thank you all for being with me again this week. And as always, if you'd like to reach out and talk about something or have any questions or comments, you can always email me or DM me on Instagram, however you would like to contact me. I'm here. So, thank you again.